Hey, I like stats. I know I don't look like it and I'm bad at math, so it kind of doesn't make sense, but I really do like them, especially when I can influence them myself. And because I also like books, I especially love those Goodreads charts that you can look up on the website. By the way, Goodreads, I would really love it if you could make them available in the mobile app. We're not in 2012 anymore. Apps can handle that kind of stuff now. So, yeah, but not to harp on Goodreads. Today, I thought I want to take a look at what statistically, using like these graphics and everything, would be the best year in books. And I'm not going to make this like in any way scientific because I'm not smart enough for that. I think you could probably pull like book sales versus the data from like some prizes, literary prizes or something. But I'm not going to do that because I'm not that smart. I'm just going to look at my stats, the like Goodreads publication year stat, as well as some others that are available in the like Goodreads website. And I'm going to look at by which metrics, I'm still going to need to look that up, what metrics, the best year in my reading is, because I thought that would be interesting. So yeah, why don't we get into it?
Hey, editing me, just so you know, in the following sections, I am gonna use from and in interchangeably a lot. And I just want to say it's always like the books from the years. I didn't read those books in those years because, especially in like, like in all of those 2018, 2020, I wasn't even reading yet. I started reading like, I think back in 2022 again. So no, I was not, in fact, reading Amakatsu's The Hunger when I was 9 years old. So it's always like from and not in, but I just use these interchangeably. I need to start recording at night, I know, but I'm never going to do it.
So if we look at the publication year chart, I haven't made this an exact science, but you can definitely see that it's more top heavy. So I just say that probably I've read more books in like the range of the like 2000s to 2020s. So the first thing I wanted to look at is which year I had actually read the most books in. And obviously I didn't want to like count down all the years. So I just made the assumption that I had only read the most books in the years 2000 and after. And then I went to my read list and sorted them by year and looked at which ones were the most. And that eventually resulted in me finding out that I had read 17 books in the year 2020, followed by the second place with 11 books, which were 2024 and 2017. And then a third place with 10 books, that was 2018. So with the years established that I have read the most books, which of these would actually be like a contender for my best year in books? For that, I decided to calculate the average rating of all these 4 years, as well as how many 5 stars I had in these years. So for 2020, I had an average of 3.59 stars, with 4 of these books being 5 stars, and those were Pine by Francine Toon, The Empress of Salt and Fortune by Nivo, Until I Meet My Husband, the manga by Ryosuke Nonosaki and Yoshitsuki Tsuki, and Wie man der unendlichen Traurigkeit ein Ende bereitet, or a Ghost-san book, it doesn't have an English translation, by Jisei Ogawa. In 2024, I had an average rating of 3.64, with 3 5 stars, those being Hunt Me, I Crave the Chase by Faye Quinn, The Foxwife by Yongshi Chu, and Bride by Ali Hazelwood. In 2017, I had an average rating of 3, with no 5 stars. And in 2018, I had an average rating of 3.8 with 2 5 stars, those being The Hunger by Omakatsu and The Gloaming by Kirsty Logan. So if we now were to sort these by average rating, then the best year in books for me would be 2018. But that can't really be real because of these 10 books, only 2 were 5 stars. And if we were only to go by the 5 stars, then 2020 was technically the best year because I have 4 of them, but there is also an argument to be made that 2024 could maybe still catch up to it because in 2024 I have read 3 5 stars, but 6 less books than I read from 2020. So maybe if I read 6 more books from the year of 2024, I could possibly get more 5 stars, and therefore it could overthrow 2020. So to further calculate what really is the best year in books for me, I decided to overthrow the average rating metric completely. Because we already saw that with 2018 only being like the best year here, it isn't really that accurate. And also, I would probably have to calculate it for the over like 200 years or maybe 100 something years that are on my Goodreads publication year spreadsheet. And I just do not want to do that. There are probably some easy ones in there, like the years where I just read one book, but I still would have to calculate a lot, and I just don't want to do that. So we're going to throw the average rating metric out the window and are going to go with the 5-star one. But that obviously also has its challenges, because then we need to look at which other years also have many 5 stars, because it can't just be that the years with the most books I have read are the ones with the most 5 stars, right? Well, then I decided to sort my Goodreads shelves for 5 stars and looked at in which years they came out. With that sorted this way, 2020 still came out on top. I have not had a year where I read books from where I found more than 4 5-star books. But I have found more years where I had at least 3 ratings with 5 stars, but not as many books as in the how many books I have read there rating. So those other years, other than obviously 2024 also being there, were 2023 with another 3 5 stars, those being Board Game Werewolf by Tony Santarella, Wild Spaces by S. Alconi, as well as The Broken Places by Blaine Daigle. Obviously, 2024, we already talked about that one. And then we also have 2019, another 3 5 stars, those being Wakenhurst by Michelle Paver, The Quiet Boy by Nick Antosca, as well as The Fallen Alpha by Makino Nakamura. As I said, by this metric, the best year would still be 2020. But like I said, there is still a possibility that another year could technically be better, since I could still read more books from these other years. I mean, technically I could also still read more books from 2020, but who cares? And then they could shoot up in this rating if I gave those books 5 stars and potentially overthrow 2020. So then we have potential 5-star books. And that made me give the idea to look at the years of my want to read shelf, because I own my complete want to read shelf physically. So there is a tangible possibility that I could read and love these in a somewhat near future. So I just assumed that I would also have more books from a publishing year from 2000 onward on my want to read shelves, just because I, again, didn't want to calculate all of it. And then I counted again. And so now we have the years with the highest possibility of still being in the best year for books for me. So the years with the highest potential are 2021 with 10 books, and then I have 2 with the same number. Those were 2022 with 8 books, and 2017 with 8 books, and 2020 with 6 books in the 3rd place. So 2021 obviously was not in the ranking for the most 5 stars or the most read books in general, but if I did read those books from 2021 and had more than 4 or 5 stars, then it could still technically be a best year for books for me. So that one is also a possibility. But obviously, you saw that the 3rd place is inhabited by 2020. I still have 6 books to read from 2020 on my TBR shelf. So yeah, I could obviously also love more books from 2020. And that spot, with it already having it in a few separate categories, is probably then evidence of it being really like one of the best years for me. Which is funny, because nobody likes 2020 because COVID broke out then. So yeah, that's a thing. And I obviously have not read any of these books like kind of close to publication year, because I'm very bad with keeping up with new releases. But anyway, so if we count the potential as well as the already being there 5 stars together, then 2020 pretty much wins on all fronts. I don't know about 2024 or any of the other books that were in the other 2 categories, because I didn't really pay attention to their potential because they just didn't have enough books. But I mean, technically it could still be true. But anyway, I just decided to make a silly stat video, and this probably is very stupid because I'm not good at math and could probably have miscalculated a lot of this. And anyway, I still hope you enjoyed this. And I'm sorry that I think in one of my last videos I came across, I didn't want to make more book content. I still want to do that. I just want to make all types of content that I feel like it. So yeah, you're definitely still going to see more book videos from me, because reading is my favorite hobby. And so if I lost followers from that, I'm sorry. And anyway, this video was silly and I'm sorry. But I still hope you enjoyed it. And tell me what other metrics you could maybe find for the best year in books that you had. And maybe I'll make another video about this, or maybe just tell me what your best year in books was. Maybe year in books is like a wrong thing because it's just the books I read from a year, not the year I read those books in, because I haven't been reading for that long. But anyways, I'm rambling again. I still hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm sorry for all the confusion. This is going to be a hell to edit. But still, I hope to see you in another one. Bye!